He took out a rope he had prepared beforehand and strangled the young man to death. He then wrapped the man in a cloth and threw him into the river under the cover of darkness. After doing this, the female swindler wiped the dust from her hands, showing no fear whatsoever. She glanced back at the two large trucks parked by the roadside, fully loaded with silk just arrived from the warehouse. This trip would earn her enough to last her the rest of her life. She quickly urged her driver to hurry and leave this desolate area to avoid being seen. The driver, already terrified, didn't dare look up the whole way, only thinking about getting the man to his destination, taking the money, and never having to deal with this woman again. The woman urged them to hurry, and just as dawn broke, she sold the 2 cartloads of silk at the black market outside the city, exchanging them for a large bag of silver notes, which weighed heavily in her pocket. She thought she had done everything perfectly. Murder, extortion, money. All she needed was a change of clothes and a different place to live a peaceful life, and no one would be able to find her. But to his utter surprise, on the 6th day after he murdered and disposed of the body, an old man fishing by the river caught a cloth bag submerged in the water. Unwrapping it, he found a young man inside, already lifeless, his body frozen stiff. The old man screamed in terror, dropped his fishing rod, and ran to the Yamen government office without a moment's delay. Meanwhile, in a large courtyard in the city, the young man's sister was nearly driven mad. Her brother had gone to the warehouse with his wealthy wife to buy goods, and several days had passed without a word. She had searched every house, every street, every warehouse and inn, but to no avail. He sat at his doorstep crying every day, his eyes swollen like walnuts, his voice hoarse from crying. Finally, she had no choice but to report the crime to the Yamen. Upon hearing the situation and recalling the recently recovered body, the dentist's heart sank. He quickly took the sister to identify the man. The sister lifted the tattered cloth covering the body and collapsed to the ground, fainting instantly. When she awoke, she wept uncontrollably, rolling on the ground and repeatedly calling her brother's name. The corpse was none other than her younger brother, whom she had fled to Beijing to rely on for survival. The dentist, seeing her pitiful state, immediately put the case on the agenda, investigating along 3 lines: the warehouse, the trucks, and the black market. The first place they traced was the warehouse that had already closed down and fled. The shopkeeper, upon hearing of the murder, rushed back from out of town that very night and recounted everything that had happened that day. He said that the woman had deliberately left the young man in the shop without enough money. Later, the young man drank a cup of tea and fell into a deep sleep, unresponsive to any attempts to wake him, as if he were dead. When the woman returned, she insisted that the warehouse had murdered him, claiming her father was a high-ranking official and her relatives were all influential figures. Terrified, he had no choice but to tear up the package and give the woman both truckloads of goods for free. They even made him take the man away to appease the situation. The dentist immediately understood. The young man hadn't died in the warehouse at all. He'd been drugged and taken away by the woman before being murdered. The woman had calculated that the warehouse manager was afraid of legal trouble and losing his reputation, so she set up this scheme, getting 2 cartloads of goods at exorbitant prices for free and completely silencing the young man who knew his background. Following the driver's trail, the driver, terrified, confessed to the entire process of the woman's murder, the sale of the goods, and the distribution of the goods. The dentist immediately sent people to the black market to investigate the merchants who had seized the goods. The merchants gave detailed accounts of the time and place of their purchases, as well as the woman's appearance and clothing. The clues became clear immediately. Just when everyone thought the woman had vanished without a trace, the young man's sister suddenly remembered something crucial. When the woman first came to the tenement, she had scattered silver dollars among the children. One child, reluctant to spend the money, had kept it hidden in his pocket. The sister quickly found the dollar and gave it to the dentist. This dollar was no ordinary coin. It bore a special mark reserved only for military officers' families. It was a special silver coin issued by a money exchange in Beijing specifically to the families of high-ranking officials. Following the mark, the truth was revealed. The woman was not a military commander's wife, nor did she possess any great wealth. She had previously been a maid in the commander's household, stealing a few marked silver dollars from her master and posing as a wealthy woman to deceive people. The dentist immediately targeted money exchange hotels and the black market, laying a trap. Within 2 days, the woman, preparing to flee to another city by train, was apprehended by the dentist at the station. She was found with silver notes from selling silk and wearing silk clothes obtained from a warehouse. Caught red-handed, she had no way to deny it. The authorities interrogated her on the spot, and the woman confessed everything in no time. From pretending to be a wealthy woman to trick a young man into marriage, to drugging him, extorting money from the warehouse, to finally murdering and disposing of the body, every step was a meticulously planned deception. She had used the same methods to deceive many honest people before, but this time her greed was too great, resulting in death. On the day the case was solved, the older sister knelt before her younger brother's grave, crying and saying that the murderer had been caught and the shopkeeper who had fled had been exonerated and reopened. The neighbors in the tenement heard the whole story and were both angry and sighing. They all said that the woman was too ruthless and deserved to end up like this. Honest people can be kind, but they can't be without any vigilance. No matter how well the wicked hide, they will always be caught one day. No one can escape justice,